Hi, why the fuck notters out there? We're back at you again with another week of a great podcast, great topics, and unfortunately last week we weren't able to get it out. There were some issues that we had to deal with. Don't really want to get too much into it, but either way there were some issues. So we are now back again with another episode. Really excited for this. Right across from me I got...
You got Dwight.
And right beside me we got...
Aaron.
Aaron, that's right. Aaron, how was your week?
Not too bad. Not this week, but last week I think it was, we went paintballing.
Yeah.
With like everyone from our work. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people from our work. Great.
It was a day of bonding.
A day of bonding. Yeah, it really was.
Honestly though, it felt like a bonding experience. Like I felt a little bit more closer to you guys. Like almost as if we touched dicks.
We did.
Twice.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt doesn't know about that?
Wait,
No.
where was I?
Oh, sorry, man.
Sorry.
We'll include you in the next one.
Next time.
You were in the
next time.
castle.
It was a lot of fun, though. I really enjoyed
It's
it.
great. Except I bruised, like, there's something wrong with my body. Well, there's a lot of things wrong with my body.
Your body actually, like, and you were like head to toe bruises, and now you got kind of a couple faded bruises. Like it looks like you hadn't played paintball.
I mean, I still have the bruises from 6 weeks ago.
See, the thing that I've been seeing with you is, like, I've been watching your progression of how good of a paintball player you are by the less bruises that you come to work with each week.
I mean, the first, like, 2
Because I'm running
times.
the gauntlet.
Yeah, the first 2 times I ran the gauntlet,
Yeah.
and that's just asking to be covered in bruises.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. I got a couple good ones, like one right on my stomach and one right, like, on, like, the love handle sort of part. Oh, boy,
that
those
shit
ones hurt. Yeah, that sucked. Other than that, I got, like, one in the shin that was kind of shitty, but other than that, everything was just kind of...
I think I hit you in the neck though, didn't I?
You got me in the back of the head.
Oh,
You shot me in the back of the head right behind my ear, too. It wasn't even like... It was, like, literally right here.
And it was
sucked.
so. What happened? Let me just paint this scene quick. I was standing up on like the 3rd story of the tower,
Of the castle,
which I wasn't
yeah.
supposed to be on in the
No,
castle.
no, that's fine.
It's okay.
For D-Day.
So this was like for sure, like I would say 100 yards out, probably farther.
Close, yeah, I would say
It was
100.
around. It was pretty far away. Ed was like way over by the last barricade, where the entrance to the castle comes in, and he put his hands up. I knew his hands were up. I knew he was out, but I was like, I wonder if I can shoot him from here. And I
out
shot,
yeah.
right in the back of the head.
Yeah,
One
it was
shot.
like the thing is I got shot in the leg. I'm shit. That kind of hurt a bit, and then somebody else shot me, got me in the chest. I'm like, oh, okay, hand up. I forgot to put my hand up, and then I turned around and pack right in the back of the head. I'm like, son of a fucking bitch.
Puts his other hand up.
Like, hello. And Dwight afterwards is like, I'm so sorry. It was an accident. I'm like, it wasn't a fucking accident. You did that shit on purpose. He's like, yeah, I kind of did.
Did you see the shot your wife got?
Oh
on,
my God.
My buddy Colin. Worst paintball shot I've ever seen.
So bad. It was like welted and like it looked.
man.
It looked angry.
You could see
I
bone.
saw him yesterday, and he still has the mark from it. Like, it's still a scab.
Jeez, she shot him good. Like Steph, or I get what we call it, James, right?
Jamie.
Jamie.
So Jamie, our information expert, was in the back of the tower, like pegging people off as they were coming into the tower for it. And your friend came in and like it was the first thing, bang, right in the freaking shoulder, and like she pegged like a whole bunch of people off by just sitting in that position doing it. Like she did a really good job with that.
It was a pretty far away shot, too. Like,
Yeah.
normally those bruises and, like, those welts are from someone shooting you super close.
Can I give us? I know what happened. Steph was walking around with an Allen key. She cranked up her PSI.
It's like, I need a little bit of
Yeah.
an advantage
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
She's a pro.
I want to make sure I hurt someone while I'm out here.
Yeah. Hey Dwight, how was your week?
It was really good. I watched the Mayweather McGregor fight.
oh,
and,
yeah.
I think all of us kind of
I think the
participated in
world
some way.
almost did,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Did you see... Sorry to interrupt. Did you see the amount of views?
I'm sure it was disgusting.
I didn't see
see
the official views, but the amount of pirated views is 1.5 million.
Wow.
Illegal streams.
That's insane.
Wow. I wonder how many. I'm sure they have a tally now on how many pay-per-views were bought, right?
Yeah, actually, I could probably look it up.
Like the thing I found most interesting about this fight is that there's only a few times in like a generation that everybody tunes in. Very few
Yeah.
times. Sometimes it's a sporting event. Sometimes it's like the Berlin Wall going down. Sometimes it's like 9/11. Things like these things that just people are automatically drawn to. And I'm very surprised that it was a fucking boxing match that like everybody stopped what they were doing. Like I can't think of a boxing match this big. Even the Pacquiao fight wasn't this big.
No,
As far as it was
more.
big.
This was the biggest pay-per-view I think of all time.
Yeah.
It's insane. 100 million on each person they got is what I was hearing.
Well, I think
110
McGregor got
for-
something like 110, yeah, and Mayweather got 300 and something million.
Oh, because of all the residuals and like all the other things.
I think him winning was 260 or something, or 2 something, and then plus the pay-per-view sales, the merchandise,
and the booze sales, like they get a percentage of everything.
everything, yeah.
The number of sales was 6.5 million pay-per-view sales.
And then add another 1.5 million for pirated, right?
Yeah, and that's only what they could count.
Yeah, not to mention I had like 3 pirated streams. I mean, I didn't do that.
I mean,
but I was watching it.
I remember like the screen went out for like whatever 10 seconds or so, and it was probably just because like an abundance of people buying the
there was
pay-per-view.
Big problem with that. A bunch of people who were trying to watch it through like I think it was the UFC site. It went down because of the amount of people.
Oh, yeah.
So people wasted their money and could not watch it.
Well, that's the problem with these situations is they're so high traffic. They don't expect it to hit this high traffic. Like that's a big, large amount of people trying to stream the same freaking stream.
Yeah,
like,
it's a lot of bandwidth.
Yeah, it's gonna bog it down pretty heavy. But I don't know. Like, let's talk about the fight a little bit though. Like, since you bring it up, because I wouldn't mind talking a little. Because like I've got a couple opinions on it. You got a couple, and I know Aaron does.
Yeah.
Myself, the way that I'm going to go with my hopes. What my hopes were originally is I was pretty sure Mayweather was going to win, so that came true. I was also fairly confident in the fact that it was going to be a knockout of some sort, and I was expecting it at around the sixth round. That was my
fairly
like
accurate,
that's what I was expecting.
Yeah.
It ended up going further. We got into the 9th and stuff, but like.
10th.
All these, I thought it was the 9th.
No, it was the
Was it
10th.
10th? I couldn't remember. Okay, yeah. So in the 10th round, he got basically staggered out, and they're like, okay, no competition. He's not
TKO.
TKO,
Yeah.
So like that basically, it was close to what I was expecting it to be, just a couple rounds longer. Which good on McGregor for that, because I honestly thought he was going to be out pretty quick. Like he was going to blow all his steam like Tank Abbott, and then just get knocked out pretty much right away.
Yeah, I thought this is my take on the fight, and I thought. Like, I love Mayweather. I love watching him box. People can hate him all day long for being the defensive boxer he is or not interesting boxer he is. That's his style, and that's won him 50 fights in a row. You know what I mean? The dude was inactive for 2 years, went into retirement. He said he'd even spar for the last month of training up to the fight. So it was interesting him coming in and fighting a guy, obviously, from the UFC, which was half the hype of it, right? McGregor was known as kind of right now as one of the biggest Showtime fighters there is right now.
Also the biggest shit talker.
And the biggest shit talker.
Mouth that gets him where he is.
That's what brought him to this money fight. And if his big talking mouth brought him in an extra $100 million than he would have ever made from any other pay-per-view, good on him, for sure. What I thought was, going into the fight, I thought there's 2 things. I thought if McGregor would have won, I thought it would have done terrible things for the sport of boxing. Because boxing has just been known as a technical sport forever and a sport of endurance.
It's
and
chess.
it's a game of chess. That's what it is. And there's so much tactics to it. There's so much footwork. And I know McGregor was a boxer earlier on in his career, and he's had gloves on forever. But at the same time, a guy who's been boxing for his entire life. His dad boxed. He's been coached and boxed his entire life. Goes into a ring and fights a guy who's been training for 3 months preparing for this fight. If he would have won, I think it would have said a lot of bad things about boxing. It would have showed that a guy, the best we've ever known in the sport, arguably, I think. Well, he is.
Has anybody hit 50 consecutive without losing?
No,
he's the
he's
first.
the
Right?
first. Yeah,
that says a
So,
lot.
I
He
mean,
is the best.
He is the best. He's the best we'll watch. There's no doubt about it, right?
Probably in our lifetime.
Probably.
We have a Babe Ruth. Now we have fucking a Mayweather.
Yeah. So I mean, it was. So I thought it was cool that I'm happy Mayweather won. I'm happy with the results of the fight. I think McGregor did put on a good fight though. Like as far as if you're talking about a guy from a totally different sport, right? Where you're mixed martial arts, where you're using a combination of everything, moves over to arguably a completely different sport and puts up that good of a 10-round bout. I mean, it was worth the pay-per-view sales. I was entertained. I thought it was a fun fight to watch.
Yeah.
So what were your expectations?
I mean, I thought it was going to be a lot more boring.
Yeah.
I thought there was...
They're going to see a Pacquiao fight.
Yeah, basically. Mayweather was pretty defensive, but I thought he was going to be twice as defensive.
The way that I've been looking at it is for the past half a year, McGregor has literally said exactly what he's going to do when he walks in there. He gave him his strategy. I'm going to try and knock that fucker out in 4 rounds. So all you have to do is defend yourself for 4 rounds, and then he'll be out of steam.
I did not expect McGregor to go as long as he did. He put up a really good fight for an amateur boxer fighting the world's best professional boxer. Because that's what it was. Yeah. And it was really good.
Yeah.
What do you think of, just a question in this whole situation, what if he had 2 years of boxing underneath him? Do you think
you know what? I think there's a special some baseball players are born with a special. I forget what it's like, a fast twitch fiber in your eye. Like you're born with, just genetically, you can see a ball coming at you 100 miles an hour, and you have the reaction time to whack that ball. It's the same with boxing, right? Like you have to have super fast twitch fibers. You got to have there's something genetic that has to be in you to be able to move that fast out of a counter, like a guy who can strike that hard, right? And
out of 2 years, you don't feel that he would have been able to achieve that, or you just don't think he has that in him?
No, I think what I'm saying is you could train to the maximum point you ever wanted to. Some people, Mike Phelps is born for swimming. Babe Ruth was born to play baseball. I think Mayweather is just born to box, and I think you can train up all you want, but I think if that fight still would have happened in 6 months, I still think the outcome would have been close to the same. It might have gone to 12 round because of his VO2 max would have increased naturally. He probably could have gained some more endurance in the fight. I think the result at the end of the day would have been the same. That's just my take on it.
I agree. Yeah. Mayweather, his whole family fights, has been boxing. Yeah. Always. So it's basically in his genes. I think 2 more years of boxing could have helped McGregor, but at the same time it diminishes him because you have a very certain time. And once you go past that time, you're fucked. You go downhill. He's getting older.
Yeah. It's 29, I think. I mean, you're going to hit your peak pretty soon. And, arguably, he's a better MMA fighter than he is boxer, right? Oh, yeah. I mean, he spent most of his time doing mixed martial arts. So
yeah, if you change the ring, it would totally change the outcome.
Definitely. But I remember them, in this post-conference, they were asking him, would you consider yourself doing a boxing match afterwards? Or are you going to go back to MMA? Or what's your next step in your career? And I remember him saying that, I'm open to whatever, and boxing brings in more money. You know what I mean? There's there's more money on a high-paid pay-per-view. In the MMA, you'll get $2 million for the headline fight, whereas in boxing, you can make up to $20 million, $30 million on a pay-per-view card, right?
Probably less concussions in boxing as well.
They're more cautious of it, I think.
Yeah.
Not that there's less, just that they're more cautious of being I think that's why the fight stopped, is because of the possibility of concussions. He wasn't protecting his head. There is a high probability of getting a concussion from that, so they stopped the fight, right?
Yeah, you get 142 power shots to the head. Yeah. I mean, it's, and I knew that fight in the it was the second round. McGregor caught Mayweather with this huge uppercut, and it was at that point, it was okay, McGregor is known as a huge striker. That was arguably the best strike of the fight that he had, and Mayweather was unfazed. His jaw was steel. He looked back up. He wasn't breathing heavy. He didn't seem rattled at all. And you're okay, I know exactly what's going to happen for the rest. As soon as I saw that, I was comfortable with the bet I made. Mayweather would win, and I was okay, it'll be fine. He'll outbox him.
Is that where you were this is the end?
Yeah, it was the second round after that uppercut.
Where did you see the end?
After about 5 or 6 rounds, when McGregor, he was super cocky, kept leaning on the thing, kept putting his hands behind. I just saw him in the 6th round. He was gassed. He had no energy. He tried to clinch at every given opportunity.
And that was halfway down the fight.
For me, my ending was when he started looking up at the clock.
Yeah.
When he was looking at the time going down, I'm he's done. There's nothing. He just can't wait for that 30 seconds to get a break.
Actually leaning on the ropes for a second or two, just to get a little bit of...
So, out of all this, what I got out of all this is just how much of a professional McGregor actually is by the end of the fight. He was very humble after all this, shit-talking of, a year. He
built up
humble.
the pay-per-view card, and he was pretty good about it.
But he was super humble at the end of it, talking about, he was very accepting over the fact that he lost.
Happy he fought.
Yeah, then that's great to see. You don't see that a lot. Well,
you do.
You do now, which is really good.
But then I watched a compilation of McGregor doing this at almost every one of his fights. Because I haven't really paid much attention to him, but almost every fight that he's won, he's been we're going to go again. Good job. I'll see you again.
He's humble. He's up for a challenge. He loves fighting. It's clearly in his blood. At the end of the day, he loves a good fight, and he'll feel good about having a good fight. And, yeah.
So Ed, how was your week?
Pretty good actually. It started out with the paintball, which was a lot of fun. That actually kind of got me on a path of some sorts I'll get into in a minute. But the next day I went to go see Piff the Dragon. For those that don't know who that is, he was like on the Stars show where it's like To Catch a Star or whatever the hell it is, where like a star comes up on stage and they try and win a competition. He made it almost all the way to the end.
What is that called? America's Got Talent?
Yeah, that's America's Got Talent. Yeah, that's what it is. I don't really watch TV that much, but he was on that.
Yeah.
And I've watched a couple of his things with Penn and Teller. He's really funny. He's like a great comedic magician. And we went to the show. It was about a 2-hour long show, and there was like so many technical difficulties. He had a GoPro that they couldn't stream up, and there was a lot of things. And he managed to like really persevere through all those like complications and stuff, and just turned it into a great joke. It was a heck of a lot of fun, and
nice.
like I don't think it would have been nearly as good if there wasn't so many fuck ups. Like the fuck ups really made the show great, and that separates like the amateur from the professional, being able to have those fuck ups.
The amateur would get mad, be like, "Whoa, what the fuck?"
Ends the show.
Venue.
Yeah, and that makes a big difference in a comedic life. Like if you can handle that type of stuff, and he handled it fucking superbly. So it was really
how
good.
awesome is Rumors?
Oh, it's great. I love Rumors.
I love Rumors.
It's
I've
such
never
we
been
talked
there.
about.
No, I really
we
wanna
should-
go there.
We should all go. We
We'll
should
just
all go.
Check it out.
I wish we went to Bill Burr, but tickets are like
yeah.
$150.
No, they were
Wow.
$550 actually.
Jesus.
After they sold out, people were selling them online for $550.
Oh
minimum.
my
tickets.
Yeah, scalp tickets. They got really high. I was looking after they sold out. I'm like, I'll see if I can find something. I don't care if I'm paying like an extra $50.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see Bill Burr. And yeah, it was
500%.
it was insane how much they were, because they was sold out so quickly.
Well, he played at the MTS Center.
No, he played at the Burton Cummins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So like he played there.
He could have done a bigger venue, I think.
Oh,
I
for
think
sure he could have.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we went to go see Jim Jeffries when he came, and it was totally sold out too. But
Yeah.
even at the scalping point, it only really went up an extra $75.
Yeah.
Not to that degree, but that also tells you like that amateur, or not amateur comic, but like the alternative comedy is still really big.
Yeah.
It's not about the like, because he's an alternative comic where Jim Jeffries is more of like an in-your-face comic, kind of like the difference between a Patton Oswalt versus an Eddie Murphy, right? Like Eddie Murphy's kind of the in-your-face mainstream, and then Patton Oswalt's more the alternative person. So the big increase there really made a difference, like you can see that. But I would have loved to have seen him too. That would have been great.
I would think Jim Jeffries has probably a bigger audience.
Oh, guaranteed.
But Bill Burr would have a more rabid, hardcore
Hardcore audience for sure. Yeah. But yeah, so I went to go see Piff the Dragon. That was a lot of fun. Over the past couple weeks, we made a deal that I was going to be getting active at least 7 minutes a day, and I was very good about texting you every day, being like, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, and I kind of stopped texting you.
Yeah.
But I'm still doing all of my exercises. I'm actually doing more exercises. I'm going a little bit beyond.
And you're doing it every day?
Every single day.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, I feel guilty because there's been at least 3 instances like, I just got off work, I gotta go to bed because I gotta go to work tomorrow. I'm just not going to do them today. And I sit down on the couch for like 5 minutes, like, fuck it. I just get up and I do them.
See,
so
that's
it's basically a habit now.
Yeah, it's hit and habit. Like I literally feel a guilt trip for not doing them. But what I've done is, instead of at the end of the night doing this type of stuff, I'm coming in the morning instead and doing, on top of. So I'm doing half of the workout that I do at night, I do in the morning.
Okay.
And that has made a exponentially large impact on my life in comparison to the nighttime stuff. Like I come to work a lot happier.
Yeah.
I can handle a lot more. It's really done a lot for me in general.
Awesome. Yeah, what I was going to say was just that you, like, when you hit the point where you feel guilty, to me, when you hit the point when you feel guilty about not exercising, because you kind of start feeling like your blood flow in the morning and you being more positive and giving off good endorphins, and you start feeling the benefits. So as soon as you start to hit that point where you're like, oh, I feel terrible that I didn't do it yesterday, and shitty that I didn't do it, and you feel bad on yourself, and your body almost feels worse because you're telling yourself you didn't do it and you feel bad for not doing it. Like, once you hit that point, I think it's like the first step on the pyramid towards, attaining a fitness goal. But that's for sure, to me, like a good sign that you're on the right track is when that feeling starts kicking in. So
it's been that way for about a solid week now.
Nice.
So that's good. I'm really happy about that. I feel happy about my changes. I don't feel like physically different yet.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like mentally more alert and better. So like I've noticed differences, just not physically yet. So I'm also not doing hardcore workouts yet. I'm just kind of keeping my activity up a little bit. So we'll see. I've been increasing it every day. Like I'm doing more push-ups at a time, and not trying to. It's just I can handle more, so I'm doing a little bit more.
Just keep
it
it going.
Just keep it going.
Keep it going.
Yeah, keep going on that.
Are you sleeping better at all?
Yeah. Well, I've got that sleep sense thing, and it's saying that I'm doing better. You know, like they give me a score out of 100. I was hovering between 50 and 65. Now I'm hovering between about 65 and 80, depending on
okay, nice.
So that's saying it's I'm like not, I'm less restless. I'm not
so more awake in the mornings and better sleeps during the night.
I think so. Yeah, cool. And it's been nothing but beneficial. So like, thanks for giving me the challenge. I'm doing great with it.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
Yeah, I'm really happy about it. Cool. Well, if you didn't know, this is Why the Fuck Not, where three friends gather around one table and bring the one topic for your listening pleasure and our great discussions that we like having. Yeah. Today, Dwight is going to be heading the topic. Dwight, what topic are you bringing to the table today?
So I'm kind of like going to segue into why I decided to pick this topic. It's because I'm a bartender 2 days a week. I manage and bartend, I guess you could say, on those nights. But there was a night I remember a couple weeks ago, I guess it was like 3 weeks ago now, where my whole bar top was full and everyone was looking down. They're all by themselves and everyone was looking down, talking on their phone, and not paying attention to what was around them. They were just sitting at the bar top looking at their phone. And it got me really to the question at the end of the day, and what the topic's going to be on is: are phones and technology leading us away from our primal instincts, or is it counteractive on where we're heading?
Did you notice a difference because you were there at the McGregor fight?
Yeah.
Was there a lot of people? Like, did you notice that that there wasn't people on their cell phones?
No, and see, this was the cool thing about. I mean, there was always going to be people taking like the selfies and. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be people wanting to show everyone where they are and what's happening. That's just, no matter what, that's going to happen. But I thought what was cool about, and what is cool about sporting events like this, like when you said, like, these events don't come around very often. When you get a big group of people together watching a common thing, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like everyone's unifying towards a fight, right? You're going to pick one side or the other, but at the end of the day, everyone's there to watch the fight. And so you kind of get this, like, feeling, and you can ask anyone who was even in the lounge serving that day or the people who were there watching the fight, you almost unify as a group towards watching that event. Like, the sport brings people together, or this event brought people together to a point that it's rare. It doesn't happen very often, and it was really cool because we were all just, even if I was cheering for Mayweather and everyone was McGregor, we were still at the end giving each other high fives because the fight was wicked, and we were all hyped up and drinking with each other and cheersing each other, and it still unified the group of people, and it took us away from everything, and we all just focused on one thing for an hour, which was super cool, right?
Yeah, I was there working, and I felt that there was a unification, even with the cooks and the servers and the people in the bar. Like, it was different. Like,
it's an energy you can feel, right? Like, it's weird.
That your significant other was like super jacked, and I don't think she's really into fighting, but she was super jacked about this fight. Like, she was so you could see the smile on her, like, in her voice and on her face. It was really cool.
She was just excited that there was so many people there for something that we planned like a week ago, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she was happy that it was so successful as it was, but yeah, it was neat. It was like there wasn't so many people on their phones, and.
I mean, I think part of that is a tribal thing. It's like when you watch a football game or anything, and soccer. Soccer is the best example. They have rabid fucking fans for teams.
Public hangings. That used to be a thing.
Yeah.
They would gather people up.
You murder that ref if he made a bad call.
We should bring those back, I think.
That happens. In soccer, that still happens. Like, in a badly called soccer match, Man U will just take that motherfucker out.
One of my favorite things to watch on YouTube is soccer hooligans and the riots they throw.
Oh.
They're crazy.
Scary.
Like, people think American football, they think their teams are hardcore. Not at fucking all. They can still sit beside each other in a stadium, and the worst that's going to happen is they're going to yell at each other.
Beer snake.
Yeah. If you go to, like, Europe, there are visitors entrance, and there is the home entrance for the soccer stadium.
They're their own section and stuff.
Yeah, they're split by two lines of police.
Yeah.
It has to be.
There have been stadiums burned down. There have been crazy
They're nuts.
Shit.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I love it. I wish anyone here had that sort of passion.
Well, I mean, if you take what we have in America, it's tailgating. Like, they're just sitting there drinking beers and having a barbecue versus...
You know what? Some places are different. So I'll go see an NFL game once a year. Like, that's like me and my dad, that's our thing together. We go see a football game. Last year was in Chicago. The year before that was in Philly. And we went to Washington. We've done Seattle the year before that, and we go everywhere. We see all the tail, and some of the places are just like exactly what you guys said. Like, it's nice, everyone can drink together, TV's on in the parking lot. But there is the odd place like Oakland, for example. Like, you don't.
No.
You do not fucking. If you go to Oakland, just wear a Raiders jersey, okay? Like, just avoid the fucking.
Even if you're not a fan, just.
Even if you're not a fan, like, there's always some kind of fight in the parking lot,
it's almost that way here too with like Winnipeg and Saskatoon.
Yeah, and the CFL.
My mom loves the Saskatchewan Roughriders for no conceivable reason. She just likes.
Was she from there? Or?
I'm from Saskatchewan.
Well, there you go. It's in love for you.
I don't like to admit it. But like she bought this sticker and she's like a Saskatchewan Roughrider sticker and she was gonna put it on the car. And I'm like,
don't you dare.
I'm like, don't fucking do that. Your car window will get smashed within a week. And she's like, no one's going to do that. I'm like, yes,
well, do you guys
will.
remember,
3 hours later.
Yeah, smash. Do you guys remember why they called it the Banjo Bowl?
No, I don't, actually. I was always curious.
So, Troy Westwood, he was a kicker for the Bombers. Yeah. He went on, it was CJOB, I think he was on, and they were interviewing after the game, because there's Labor Day, and then there's the Banjo Bowl. So, Labor Day, it's when Winnipeg Blue Bombers go to Saskatchewan and play. And then the Banjo Bowl is when the Rough Riders come to Winnipeg, and the Winnipeg are the home team. So they call it the Banjo Bowl because he talked about how next week we're going to play, and this was on like live air, we're going to play a bunch of those banjo picking hillbillies. That's what he called the Saskatchewan. He called them out like on the biggest radio station. Yeah, exactly. Called them a bunch of hillbillies. So ever since then, long story short, everyone it was considered a Banjo Bowl. They were the hillbillies coming to Winnipeg. Yeah.
So like the thing about these
inbreds, he called them or something too. Like it was not good.
That's been a beef for a while.
Yeah.
Long time.
Oh yeah. So it's
So basically, these big sporting events it's one of those rare instances that, especially nowadays, where people just get off their phones and they just pay attention to the TV, and that's
But if you look at concerts, people do that, but there's always that group of people who are trying to record the concert, take selfies.
Yeah.
Never watch it again.
There was very recently a video that surfaced of a Foo Fighters concert. It's an older one where Dave Grohl had his leg broken, but he was still playing in a chair.
Oh yeah.
He made a girl that was at the front row recording. He's like, if you put your phone down, I'll bring you up on stage and I'll dance with you. So she put her phone down, and then he danced with her on stage while they were playing the song and stuff like that. And he was basically trying to be like a positive way to get these people off their phones and stuff, because so many people get negative. Like Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses will stop a concert and get the fuck out of there if he doesn't.
I love that, though. Yeah. I like that.
I think, what you're saying about the positive, I think that's good. There are certain comedy places, I don't think they're here, but I've heard of this because I listen to a lot of podcasts by comedians, where during the show they take your phone and put it like in a bag, and you can't get it till the end of the show.
I like that too. You know what? Have you guys ever been to like a dinner party or something where I don't know, but you like as soon as you walk in, they have like this basket or whatever. You put your phone in the basket, and it's like you just are focused on the people's company who are at that party. You know,
I think that's amazing.
It's awesome.
There are certain restaurants I've seen that will give you like 5%. I'm not sure how they do it, but they'll give you 5 or 10% off your bill. If you're
not on your phone, right?
If you like hand in your phone or some shit.
That's an awesome idea. Just get them off their phones.
Yeah.
So do you know why comedians don't want you recording their stuff?
Because some places they're working out material.
That's what it is right there. They're working out new material, and they don't want the material hit before they do a special or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's the big reason.
The unjustified outrage for anything.
Yeah, that too. But either way, everybody's sitting on their phones, and like with today's topic, it being like, is it like bringing us down and not really bringing us forward?
Well, like it goes to show you when you have instances like that's like the Mayweather fight, right? Or like if let's talk about that dinner party or that restaurant where you go to without the phone. Like there's a totally different. You're like it's complete. You remember it, right? Like I remember the party that I went to where I put my phone in because I had good conversations all night. I was very present, right? Like it's taking me away from. That's my whole thing with the phones, right? It takes you away from your present, right? You're kind of listening to things in the background and you're having conversations, kind of listening in the background. But at the end of the day, you still know your phone's in your pocket. You still know you can text whoever, or you want to check your Facebook, or that thought's always in the back of your head when your phone's near you, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the key to meditation. And some people say to a happy life is living in the moment, not in the past, not in the future, just live in the moment.
Yeah.
Now, a counterpoint to your point, the McGregor fight. It was frightening, but there were.
Well, at least for somebody it was.
I was scared. I don't want that guy hitting me. Remember the eclipse that just happened?
Yeah.
The one Trump just stared
at, and they're like, "Don't
look
at it."
It's a lie. It won't hurt me. See, I'm fine.
My eyes are bionic.
20 years from now, he will be blind.
It's something like the retina. Sorry to go off, but it's because like your retina can't detect like
the ultraviolet
rays, right? So it's like you're damaging your eyes as if you were to stare into the sun, but it's not going to give your eyes like that same.
Yeah, it doesn't happen instantly, but it will happen over time. Apparently, it's something because of the amount of white light that's let in.
Because it's tons, right? It's like super like ultraviolet, but you can stare at it because of I forget the reasoning around why, but you're not getting the same glare as you are if the sun's in full set, but you're getting the same rays, but you're staring at the sun.
Yeah,
right. Like
I had a friend in BC that said that she stared at it for like about 8 seconds, and she could like already notice that there was like I shouldn't be doing this.
There was hundreds of thousands of people who had like. They were like not blind, but they were going through like black, like they're seeing black dots, and they were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there are reports because this happens every 20-something years, 28 years or something. There are reports from the last one where people are now going blind because they stared into it.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, it can like definitely. It can damage you, especially if you're gonna sit there and just stare at it. You're asking for trouble.
She might have fucking eye damage in 10, 15
I
years.
believe it. Yeah, and it doesn't take long in those type of situations. No. But yeah, but you were saying that like, as relation to.
Oh yeah, sorry. The reason I brought this up was because wasn't it beautiful? We just loved to make fun of Trump. No. Everyone had their phone out. Everyone was taking pictures.
Yeah.
Well, better that than sitting there just do this, like look at the ground and take some pictures, stare at it, and you're like, I got this.
Did you see that one meme? The Joe Rogan meme where it was like Eddie Bravo, and it's like, what if the
Tell me it was a conspiracy meme.
Yeah, it was a conspiracy by the NSA to sell those little sunglasses.
Oh, yeah.
They must have made a killing.
They must have made a killing.
Totally.
Yeah, that's insane. But I mean, people are recording all that stuff instead of actually witnessing the event, right?
And like, sure, there's something you can look back at it later, but there's a fucking 7 billion people. Other people are gonna have fucking pictures.
Yeah,
I've said this before, but I've been to a lot of concerts, and one of my favorite bands, Primus, came through town, and it was around when I first started getting like smartphones, so I sat there, recorded the whole concert. Really, I kind of missed the concert because I was looking at it through a phone, and I have all those recordings. I've never watched them once, not one fucking time. Yeah. I would have much rather have like experienced. Since
sound
then,
quality
I won't
is going to
put
be
them
crappy and everything too, right?
You go watch that video now. It's going to be.
Yeah, I don't watch. I refuse to bring a cell phone out when I'm doing this type of stuff now, like going to concerts. Like you're spending a lot of money to check these things, but that's another situation where we're kind of losing touch with the reality that's sitting in front of our face just because of having a cell phone in front of you.
Oh, totally. You know what? And I like it's arguably it can like I think that it contributes to a lot of things. Like even if you're talking about anxiety and depression and like technology, like having your phone on you all the time, I think is leading to a lot of that big problems that a huge chunk of the world has anxiety and depression, and both those things could be.
Well, they know it's a lot of studies have been proven because the amount people sit down now. And the curvature of their spine is changing. People who stare at monitors all day, any type of monitor, they usually have trouble sleeping. Hence, Aaron. Well, one of the reasons. But this has all been explained. There's actually a program like on iPhones and Androids to do it automatically now. But there's a program for your computer called F.Lux. There's another one for Android called Twilight. Yeah. What it does is it's a blue screen filter, or a blue light filter.
Oh, so it takes out some of the rays?
Yes, because it basically just makes everything look slightly red. Everyone's like, this looks retarded, but you get used to it super fast.
It took me less than 2 days.
Yeah.
You told me about this, and I put it on my phone, and it's honestly done nothing but good things for me.
That's super.
Because I still have to go on my phone sometimes in the evening, right? For whatever reason, somebody texts, it's something to do with work. I got to go on it, but I need to get myself tired. As long as I have it on there, your eyes adjust to it very quickly, and everything looks still kind of normal because you're just used to it.
And the reason for that is because when you're seeing the sun, there's tons of blue light, just natural blue light, and that wakes your brain up. Your brain is like, oh, there's tons of light, we should be awake, we should be moving. Now, if you're staring at a screen at 1 a.m, like I do, and you're seeing all this blue light, your brain's like, oh, we should be up, we should be moving. But once you get rid of that, they also sell some glasses that do that now, that are apparently way better than the programs.
It's kind of a little off point on that, but do you know why the sky's blue?
It's like a reflection of the ocean or some
No,
bullshit,
it's
right?
what it is the way that it comes through our atmosphere is normally you would see kind of like the rainbow does, you'd have those ultraviolet things. So there's animals that have better receptors in their eyes that see the sky, and it's more like a purplish pinkish color because they're able to catch those. But because we can't handle those higher colors, they kind of meld together, and it turns it into the closest thing we can see as it is blue.
Well, I feel like an idiot with the ocean talk then.
Yeah. Why is the sky blue? Because if it were green, you wouldn't know when to stop mowing. But yeah, like that's what this is for your phone, and it's trying to, like, this is another example of how phones are damaging us in a way. Like, we have to put these filters on there so that we can get a proper sleep at night, and it is changing our genetics and the way that, like, we give birth, even for that matter, right? Because the way that evolution works is if we're all doing this, when it comes down to having a child, that child's going to inherit a lot of those things that you've adjusted to yourself. That's how we get our evolution pretty much in general. So are we de-evolutionizing by doing this type of stuff, or are we like still evolving? But
again, technology has like its pros and cons, like we've talked about before, and we're going to jump into some of the pros of technology because there's a lot of pros.
Lots.
We're talking about things like even monitors and computers, and you're talking about how, like, your spine, you got spine curvature, right? It's a lot of people. I remember even when I used to train, you'd see ladies who were 60s and 70s, and they'd have this hump on their back, and they'd be exactly what you were talking about. They had a secretary job, or they've been in an office for most of their life, and they've had back problems now, and they're hunched over, and their neck's giving them issues, and their spine's not set straight. And that's just weak traps, right? It's them hunched over, typing on a computer, which we're not meant to be doing, right? Sitting there like 8 hours like that a day, and they haven't worked out their traps. Like, the gym isn't a thing. It's not even it wasn't even a socially acceptable thing for anyone who was like over 40. You know what I mean? It was like a young person thing to do, was go to the gym, a bodybuilding thing, right? Like, it was those beef monkeys who were going to the gym. So, like, what happened and what can reset all of that would be, you know, them working out their traps, them doing a lot of back exercises, making sure that their back is strong, abdominal exercises, of course. But we've just painted this picture that it's, not acceptable. But computers led them to that problem.
Yeah, and there's actual statistics on this now. Like, you're supposed to get up and walk around every, I think it's like hour you're on the computer. There's notifications on, like, the Apple Watch or whatever that tells you to
stand
get up
and walk around. Yeah,
I'm fucked. I haven't been doing that at all.
Oh, look at me, man.
It just gets worse and worse, right?
Yeah, no, like, I never thought about it as in, like, the humps on people's backs, because I always see them and I never really correlate why they're there. I was just like, it's a thing that some people get and some people don't, is the way I've always looked at it. But, like, you can have some pretty serious
exercise and sedentary work.
And lifting, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can get it from lifting heavy weights, a lot of manual movement.
Truck driving's another one, too.
That's true. Sitting down,
Some
right?
people have said sitting is the new smoking. I don't think it's nearly that extreme, but I think it's pretty bad.
It's close.
It's pretty bad. Like, I mean, I even know, but even the chairs they make now, like, for example, the one that we have in our office, like, you know that purple one that we have in the office, and it's like one of those it's a standard chair, wheelie chair that moves around, and it reclines backwards, and it has that cushion. It's comfortable. My back hurts so much more when I sit in that chair because I find myself slouching all the time. Like, it promotes me to slouch because the back of the seat kind of goes inverted, like it goes down a bit, so your butt sinks into the seat and you're sitting backwards, whereas, like, that's why I'm always sitting in the chair, because the chair, like, at least I can, like, force myself to sit straight. The back is, like, sitting straight, and my back never hurts. I can sit there for hours. The other one just
I've been in the office with you when you're sitting in that chair and I walk in, you're like, you want this chair? I'll take the chair. And you just go like you can fuck yourself up with this chair. I'm gonna go sit over here and be comfortable. But, like, on the side of, like, this being as bad as smoking, do you think in the future we're just gonna have, like, sitting areas where people can only sit and you go to stay in your own sitting area? Like, if you're gonna sit, you're gonna go outside. I do not need your sitting clouding my environment.
Secondhand sitting. There's gonna be sitting airplanes, sitting places on the airplanes and in restaurants.
Geez,
well, I mean, now they have stand-up tables or stand-up desks. Like, that's a big thing.
I've been seeing that a lot lately.
They're called up desks. They're automatic desks. Well, that's probably one company that makes them.
Yeah.
And they have a thing where you can adjust it using a button, and it just goes up. Yeah. And then you stand and you type. And apparently, all the new hipster fucking startups are using them.
So it's like Updog then, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's a good idea, though. It's for sure a good idea. Not up.
I tried. That was for my wife.
I'm not doing
that. Yep, do it.
No. We'll move on.
No, come on. It was going to be for Steph, but
and even, like, what you were saying, where it's not natural, like this keyboard layout, the QWERTY keyboard, not the QWERTY itself, but the straight line of like 15 keys. Have you seen those ergonomic keyboards?
Where they're kind of like a triangle, right?
Yeah, they're slanted. That's like a lot more natural.
Yeah.
It feels weird because I've never done it before, right? Like I've tried it and it feels unnatural, but I'm sure it would take.
Because we've taken our like typer courses when you're a kid forever, right? Yeah.
There's 3D keyboards now where you have your right hand on one side, your left hand on the other side, and you're like
weird.
Like you're playing like the accordion.
I've also seen like a mouse where, you know, like a standard mouse is down like this. The mouse is actually up like this, and you're like mousing around like that. So like almost like you're doing a gear shift or something. Like it's a little weird. Like the things that people are doing, these small subtleties to integrate our technology into our everyday use where it's not harming us. Yeah. But the fact that we have to come up with these things is a clear indication that technology is going in the right way, but it's not where it should be.
But it's taking over where we were. Yeah, that's what's branching us to our next evolution chain, which we've kind of talked about before, right? And we were even talking about, I know you were saying earlier that you can integrate when someone comes into work, right? You can have
So like right now there is a company, well I'm sure there's several companies, but there's specifically one I remember hearing about. I can't remember the name of them right now. But what they're integrating into their everyday life is they're placing chips into their employees, and that chip is going to be almost like your punch card. You come in, it can tell when you're in the building, it can tell when you leave the building because it's within the realm of that. But that like eliminates punching in, punching out. That's able to track people. Yeah. That's able to keep an eye on what's actually happening. So like theft and stuff like that. They can like, why is
people accountable?
This chip isn't sanctioned to be in that room. Why is this chip in that room? It should be. So like I mean, it becomes almost like a micromanager in its own sense.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's a little scary on that sense. Like always knowing everything that you're doing. Not that you have something to hide, but where does your personal life become your own personal life?
And I think it leads towards like eventually it's going to track production, right? Like it's going to see how much work you've put in during that given time frame. And I think it's an easy way for people to say, you know what, this robot or this doing it this way, having this mechanical arm work in your place is a more effective way than you standing here.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like it's an easy way too to like justify weeding out humans and putting in robots in that situation, right?
Like we're talking about the ups and downs of things. I do see some merit behind this. Yes, it eliminates a lot of bullshit stuff that we have to do day to day, like in the workplace. Like you probably wouldn't have to work as hard for counting hours or getting the hours done and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's also taking away freedoms and personality and the identity that you have. You're literally almost you within gaining identity, you're also losing identity at that point because you're now part of the system that can follow you everywhere that you go. So like what happens when you get fired? Do you lose the chip or do you now like does it just go to the next place? Like that's I've heard talks about in 90 years from now, maybe everybody's going to have a chip. It's probably not going to be in our lifetime that we have a chip. Not that our kids won't, but we won't have a chip.
Yeah.
But within our kids' lifetime, there's a good chance that everybody's going to have this like thing injected into them that's going to allow this to happen. Where the new company that you work for, it's just part of it.
Most definitely.
Everything's
we're already moving that with all our GPS locators on our phones with. You know, satellites that you can see literally every street, like Google Maps, right, or Google View. You can see every street and everyone's house, and
it's a creep situation.
It's almost a creep situation. And we were talking the other day. I remember I was talking with Emily, and we were talking about how like kids now will put. Like you will put a Facebook picture of your child up and be like, oh, my kid goes to Middleton High School, and you're going to tag that thing, and her class, she loves her gym class at 3 p.m., you know what I mean? And then you pick her, this is what she's wearing, and it's like every pervert in the entire universe now knows what school your kid goes to, knows what time her class is, knows what she looks like, knows what time you're picking her up from school at. Like every bit of information that anyone who's going to talk about, and we talk about the higher rates of kidnapping nowadays and stuff, you're fueling everything you possibly need to for these people.
It's literally a click away. At that point,
it's not hard information. Like anyone can find it. Eric can go find it. You know, it's like it's not a hard thing to do.
Like the one question that I have is I want to either put this to rest or put it in the open. Is when you post a picture up to Facebook, is it? And you might know this because this is me legitimately not knowing. Does Facebook now own that picture? You no longer own that picture.
Yes.
You cannot use that picture.
Is that right?
Yeah, you can't use that picture on like advertising and stuff like that, or they get a cut or something of what money could be.
Not necessarily. I'm not sure exactly how Facebook, because each company has their own. So I'll talk about Instagram here, but Instagram is owned by Facebook. If you upload something to Instagram, you own the photo. Like, you can still use it for whatever you want, but technically they also own the photo. So they could use your photo for whatever
marketing or whatever.
Yeah.
Basically, you lose the right to be like, why are you using my photo?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. I wasn't too sure where it kind of went with it, but I knew that you kind of lost something with it, and I guess that would be individuality and like the rights to have that just for yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
So that'd be the end of that. And that's another thing where technology is more damaging than I think is a positive thing. Not that it isn't positive, it just, I think that Facebook has done a lot of damage, and it's going to continue doing a lot of damage. And when Facebook's no longer used, it's going to be the next thing.
Yeah. But think of all the help we did for Coney 2012. You don't know what that is. This was some African warlord that it went viral on Facebook around 2012, and they're like, "Oh, donate to this to help this cause." This guy has not been a problem for fucking 15 years. Like, he's probably dead. And they're just like, oh, they just found it. So they're like, oh, and like all these people got scammed out of money. Now, what you were saying about the privacy
I still haven't
thing,
gotten the money back from the prince that I emailed.
Damn it.
Oh, that is, the Nigerian prince scam is such a common scam. It has its own name. It's called the 419 scam.
419. Where's 419 come from?
I don't know, but that's the name of the scam.
Sounds like a wrestling special.
It really does sound like one.
Move.
Like,
yeah.
Tonight on Sunday, come to 419 where you can see the ultimate destroyer go against. If I could just.
The masked man, he's gonna drop down the 419 on the road.
Sunday.
Sunday. For only $59.99.
Better than the 130. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, a big problem with technology would be privacy. With every piece of technology that comes out, we're giving up privacy.
Yeah.
And some people are doing it willingly, some people are doing it unwillingly. And I think in the near future, like you're talking about those RFID chips they're planting in people. Like, that has started. That has happened in many places. There are people who have Bitcoin wallets embedded in them.
And it just makes things so easy to influence people, right? Like, you can influence a group, like half of America, that vaccines are bad for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so easy to influence people nowadays with whatever nonsense you want to talk about. If you could talk about a new virus outbreak where it's maybe affected, 10 people, right?
Yeah.
Like in the southern states, and now all of a sudden it's like a vaccine that the entire America has to have, and it's exactly, and people are frightened about it, and people flock towards their government for answers, and it's an easy influencer for society.
I think a legitimate fear on this whole situation of having like these chips integrated into is right now we have hackers all over the place, right, dealing with shit. Is there a chance that they can hack into those chips and like erase your data? Now you are nobody, and or like just jumbling, like they can make viruses where they jumble information around. All of a sudden you're this person, or this isn't adding up together.
These chips aren't even fully implemented yet, and I'll tell you right now, yes, they're hackable. The way we built the internet in 1972 or whatever was not meant to be used the way we're using it now. It was not built with security in mind. That was never a thought when they built the internet.
Well, they only thought it as a positive thing, and that's a common theme in a lot of things where they only think of the positive. They very rarely jump into the negative.
It was only supposed to be for military and like DARPA use. It's and we're seeing this now with everything that comes out. There's this huge push. I mean, last year it was massive. It's getting a bit smaller, but the Internet of Things. That is all these smart connected devices. Like, people have washing machines, cameras, baby monitors hooked up to their internet. The problem is we have millions, like they're pushing out all these products as fast as they can, hundreds of different companies. None of them are secure. None of them have even thought about security.
I've seen that. I've heard that when it just struck a chord with the baby monitors. There's been people that have hacked into baby monitors and like live streamed those baby monitors.
People ask me,
sick.
Yeah, it's fucking sick.
I tell people not to buy those. Like those Nest cams are hackable, and all of that shit's hackable. There was a DDoS attack, a massive one. Now, a DDoS attack is, I've explained it before, it's a distributed denial of service. It's when you get enough people to basically go to a website where the website can no longer serve up the website because so many people are hitting it, it goes down.
So you're just like overflowing it?
Yes. one of the biggest ones we've ever seen happened recently.
Sony, right?
No,
like the Sony PlayStation.
No,
it's the same idea, though, right?
Yeah. But this is way bigger than Sony.
Okay.
What had happened is they took millions of internet-connected devices, people's fridges, people's cameras, their webcams.
Why are fridges connected? Sorry. Go ahead, continue.
Everything is, man. And they use
your thermostat is, man. I used to have my thermostat connected to mine.
Yeah, there's coffee makers.
Someone could crank my heat up if they wanted to. Like a sick amount. They can kill me.
Fuck Dwight. I'm really gonna fuck him. Have warm milk, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. Enjoy your sour milk tomorrow.
That's the thing, is they used all these millions of devices to hack, I believe it was a DNS server. So they took down a massive DNS server, and DNS servers are responsible for turning your IP address into google.com, which Google's IP is, one of their DNS is 8.8.8.8, so it turns that into google.com. If you bring, there's 10 of them, if you bring all those down, no one can access the internet. So
we're not ever, sorry, but like in general, like there's no access to internet.
Smart people would be able to.
Okay.
But the average person would not figure out to go to 8.8.8.8 instead of google.com. They don't even know about that.
Right.
Yeah, so it was so big, it took out the DNS for Twitter and like Reddit, a bunch of places, and they were down for a while.
Shit.
That's insane.
This shit is happening more and more. Each hack we're seeing is bigger and bigger and bigger.
Like cyber attacks are a real thing. That like really damage. Like they can do some serious damage.
People think cyber attacks are just popular now. I'm sure I've told you about my favorite virus, Stuxnet.
Yeah, I remember you talking.
It's my favorite computer virus in the world. They still don't know where it came from, but they believed it was a joint operation between the NSA, the CIA, and the Israeli Secret Service. They basically put together this virus, the most complicated virus to this day that has ever been seen, and they used it to hack into Iran's nuclear missile project. And what it did was it slowed down the centrifuges and then sped them up. And it did this over and over again and made it look like the centrifuges were running normally. All of them broke.
Yeah, that's right.
It killed all of them, and it set back Iran's nuclear missile program by like 5 years.
Oh, jeez.
That's the reason they don't have nukes right now.
That's insane. Like, just over... Yeah, and this isn't even done in the same country, you know what I mean? Like, they're doing this from many different countries, and that's insane that they can have this much of an impact at that point, and that's another damaging thing.
So now we're taking this and then potentially integrating it into humans. Well, inevitably, it's going to happen eventually, right?
Yeah, it's the next thing.
We know all the cons that can happen with it, and now we're integrating this into our systems.
So let's take the positives on this. How do we see this as a positive in the future? Like, having all your information on one spot, less chance of like losing it. Like right now, you lose your wallet, you're fucked for like a couple.
Sure,
of weeks.
But we can argue it too that like before, like let's say 100 years ago, that was never even an issue before it even became an issue. Do you know what I mean? Before technology arguably brought it into an issue.
Do you think that maybe back in the we'll say 1940s to 50s,
I guess people were wrongfully going to jail
when TVs came out? Do you think they had the same problem that we're having with like cell phones, where people are just like, I think that's why they called it the boob tube, right?
Yeah.
Hold on, I think what you were saying is this is only a problem now. I don't think that's true. There was always a problem with storing data.
Yeah.
Library of Alexandria got burnt down. We don't have any of that anymore.
Yeah.
Because it was in an old format.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, sure, in 100 years, we might not be able to read anything that's on any hard drive anymore because we just don't have the technology for it.
Mm-hmm.
Things do disappear, right? Like, right now, like, I'm really into video games, for those that don't know, I guess. But, like, the problems that we're dealing with in my community is we have chip rot. Is a thing where
bit rot.
Sorry, I always call it chip rot, but yeah, the bit rot, which is basically saying that your Nintendo games that are all done on these bits or chips, the ROMs on there are starting to die because they can't hold on those anymore. They're literally disintegrating and not being able to be used. The same thing happens with CDs too. A lot of CDs they don't have a scratch on them, but the information is no longer available on there. Like, it is literally disintegrated to the point that it just can't be used anymore.
Wow.
So we are losing technology right now as we speak from the past. Like, there is preservation, there's like dumping of ROMs and stuff within my community that's helping keep it together. But the reality of it is that these things that I'm holding on to as like a nostalgia thing isn't going to be the same thing in 10 years from now. They may not even work anymore, which I've already noticed in a couple games that I have. I mean, doesn't.
BitRot works on computers too.
Yeah.
You could lose your information from BitRot. You always want to have your shit backed up.
Yeah, so like you're losing stuff as it is from this technology. So they're trying to find better ways to integrate this. But like that goes to another negative. Like I'm trying to find positives in this situation, and every time I find a positive, it always jumps back to a negative, right?
Well, that's going to be for most things.
Yeah, true.
Some positives I could point out is if we look at, say, Bitcoin. Sorry to bring up Bitcoin again. I'm fully aware that Bitcoin is not the end-all, be-all of everything. It's not the solution.
I truly feel that you just keep mentioning this so that you're hoping Bitcoin goes up a
little
bit.
Yeah, like you're trying to skyrocket your own stock, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, all 1,000 viewers.
Like if we keep talking about this, people are going to jump on this bandwagon. It's going to be worth some goddamn money.
Well, the ideas behind Bitcoin are cool. Like decentralizing money, taking it away from the banks, having a blockchain where... Some people think we could set up a system where voting is based on the blockchain, where it's never changeable and it's always going to be there.
Here's a cool scenario I want to set up with you guys, because we're talking about like our phones and technology leading us away from our primal instincts. Let's take two different societies. We got one society where there's no technology whatsoever. There's an island of people. There's no technology whatsoever. Then we take a bunch of nerds, and a bunch of technology, and we plot it down on another island.
I think we're the nerds.
So let's plot those two islands. Yeah, I'm going to be on this island. You guys can be on this one. So we take those two islands, and we take 100 people on each island. Okay? Go.
Oh, by far the south.
Our island bombs your island.
Yeah, exactly.
We win.
Exactly. That's what's going to happen, though, right? Like, it's people going to be looking for taking over maybe something else, or, whereas this island is probably going to focus more on the sky and the patterns of the weather and when the tides are going to come in and when, like, arguably, right? Like, we're taking two different societies and we're putting them on just a landscape of some sorts.
If we weren't versus each other, just who survives, guaranteed, I would say the people without the cell phones have a better chance.
Let's not even say who survives. Who's mentally healthier? Who's better off? Let's not talk about surviving.
We're going on the Dwight Island that doesn't have the cell phone, right?
Yeah, let's go on the Dwight Island.
I would honestly say
a group of people having to communicate with each other, whatever. And then we got which they can on the other island too. Like, let's talk about both sides. I'm just saying, we'll use our island as societies in different times.
I think the healthier side of things is somebody that can think for themselves and come up with solutions for themselves versus the other one that has all this like information. Now we're assuming that they still have access to everything that they always would. Yeah. The people with the cell phones will probably be able to look that stuff up and figure out what they should probably be doing a little bit faster.
Right.
But on the other hand, you have the people that don't have this type of stuff, and they can actually like handle and learn to deal with these stressful situations better as well. So there's a plus on both sides of this, right?
How do you think the communities are going to interact with each other, with your neighbor or whoever on both sides? How is it all gonna?
I see the advanced civilization possibly getting farther faster because they have the advantage of spreading information instantly. Of course, there are problems that come with that. I would say they have advantages.
Yeah,
it's a tough question.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Because, like, we're looking at it as a broad... if I'm just breaking it down this way, because if you look at our planet and you look on the broad scale of things, let's just say there's a bunch of hippies versus a bunch of nerds. You know what I mean? It's just, who's mentally better off?
Captain Planet versus
We're bringing it down to, like, let's say there's 100 people on each island, right? So, I just think of it as, like, you're right. On the one side of the island, technology is going to be a great thing. It's going to help with innovation. It might even... You could probably call those people better explorers, right? There's probably nothing going to be but good things, but I just think what's going to be that other island, I think, is going to work overall. If you were to like analyze both sides, I would argue that the one side without the technology is going to be better at communicating with each other.
Let's add a fire to it. Put a fire in the middle of the island.
Yeah.
Who's gonna figure this out and deal with it the fastest? I guarantee, like in my opinion, it's gonna be the people without it. Yeah. They're gonna work together and figure out how they can collectively solve the problem with each other.
Yeah, and how are they mentally day to day gonna put the stress on their body? How's that gonna go?
The 100 people non-technology society, they only have the information they have. They have no other information. If there's a problem that arises, say a fire, where no one has experienced this before, they have no idea what to do about it.
Who daisy chains the water first, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but also, like, the people with technology, sure, they can look and see, you know, oh, this is the most efficient way to put out the technology. Or to put out the fire, sorry. It doesn't mean they're going to get it done, right? It doesn't mean they're going to work together. It doesn't mean they're not going to panic in those situations because they've only seen it on a screen before. They've never seen it in person. There's a lot of other factors, I think, that can come into play with it.
I think it's an impossible question.
Yeah, it pretty much is.
Yeah, it's one of those
it's a hypothetical one, right?
Like, I truly feel that the people without the technology will be daisy chaining water from the ocean around them to that fire faster. I'm not saying the other people won't do it, but they'll collectively be like, okay, we have a problem, we have to solve this, boom. And they just start working on it, versus the people with the technology who have all these cell phones and stuff. They're figuring, okay, what do we do? Let's look this up. And then they have to collectively get themselves together. And I think the interaction without the cell phone is going to be faster than the interaction with the cell phone to be a group.
That's sort of along the lines of I'm thinking. I think the non-technology, they'll be able to figure it out fast. The technology will over-engineer the fuck out of it.
Yep.
Sure, they'll have a better way. Like they might have a robot to do it.
They'll have like a burnt down forest. But
yeah. It'll take them 30 years, but eventually they'll have a robot where no one gets hurt, and they'll dump the water.
It'll be more efficient for the next time we have a fire.
Exactly.
Yes. Sure. That makes total sense.
My like, just a simple question on the other things with the chips, like having chips involved in this where people have it. Do you think there's going to be like right now we have racial divides in people? Do you think there's going to be a divide between people that have the chips versus the people that don't have a chip?
Sure,
absolutely,
for sure.
You can divide people in an infinite number of ways. People self-divide themselves. What I see in the future is a group of people, let's call them the augmented, with chips or better eyesight, whatever, and they're the people who jump into it and they're like, yeah, that's fine, I'm okay giving up my privacy for a little bit easier of a life,
like a convenience.
Yeah, where there's the other side where they're like, hold on now, we're literally handing over everything to the government, like we're doing with Facebook, where all our information is up there for anyone to see. I think we should slow down a bit, like Elon Musk is saying about AI.
I've kind of hit that point. Like, I've noticed that with myself. Like, recently, within the past, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, we have that tap feature on your credit or your cards, right? Tap it. I got that. I fucking did not want that on my card. I went straight to the bank and got rid of it. I was like, I do not want this option on my card.
Your phone too. You can
do that. You can do it with your phone too. Yeah, now, but like, I got rid of it almost instantly. I was like, I don't want this because if I lose my card, they can still charge up to $100 without any signature or knowing my code and stuff like that. So I got rid of it instantly. Now I kind of regret it because I'm watching everybody just like look and they just walk away. Yeah, like I can see that thing, but I don't regret it at the same time because right now I know my
don't
card
regret
is,
it. That's okay. You're doing that's See, that's the issue. That's going to be social influences that are getting to you, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not hard to stick your card in and press 4 fucking digits.
That's 4 fucking seconds I can have
it's
back.
Like no time, and it's your privacy that you have, and that you don't have to be concerned about losing that card.
There's nothing wrong with that. However, if you wanted to mow your lawn and you're like, I don't like this new technology of the lawnmower, it's going to take my job or whatever.
Back to the push mower.
Yeah, and you have an irrational fucking thought about it. Like that doesn't make it better if you're going to use a push mower.
Yeah,
but the thing is that even when you're like, we're talking about like, there's going to be people who are going to get chips in them and there's going to be a group of people that aren't, right? We're talking about, like, I still think that small group who is not going to want to is going to be known as, like, the rebellions. Yeah. Or, like, we're going to put a stigma on those people, which we already have, right?
People who don't use Facebook.
People who don't use Facebook. Like, you're categorizing these people as to, like, you're the rebellion. Or you're the, you know what I mean? Like, just because you don't want to give away your privacy or you're a weird person, or like, oh, what, you don't have tap on your card, you fucking weirdo, you know, like, it's just...
This is how Star Wars started.
It's a true thing.
This is just truth. I'm just saying.
This is how a lot of things
bring the
start.
facts out. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do. I agree with you, though. Like, I honestly think this is going to separate people when this happens, like, in the comparison between the people that have it and people that don't. It's not going to separate everybody, because in every situation, when they have separations like that, there's going to be people that are on both sides of it, but
it's determining which one's the right one and which ones are wrong. Like, are those people wrong, and are we giving them a bad stigma because they don't want to go with...
Of course, no one's wrong. You can do whatever you want. It's just some people value privacy.
But do you think society as a whole still will like bully or outweigh those people who decide not to do it? Like, are they known as outcasters, or
yes,
you know what I mean? Like,
it's happening
why
right now.
So why exactly? So why is that the case? Why is
I talk about security a lot, like computer security. It's something I'm interested in. It's something I think is important. When I go and say, hey, this website isn't using SSL encryption, everyone's like, who fucking cares? I'm like, that's a big fucking problem.
Yeah, then no one cares.
Yeah.
Because people don't understand it. It's the lack of information on their side.
It's the same thing with password managers. People look at me weird because I use a password manager. I don't know my password for Facebook. I know my password to get into my password manager, which has 100 completely secure passwords in it.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've never used something like that, so I don't really... I know what it is, but I don't truly understand it. Like, I basically, like... continuously changes your passwords, right?
You can set it up to change your passwords easily for you. Yes. Basically, it's called an autofill, and it'll make an actual secure password for you. Now, to get to that, you enter your password, your main password, and that'll encrypt your other passwords.
For the record, what's your password?
7. It's just 7.
1.
That's a good example of technology helping us out. That's a good positive is something like that, right?
That and like VPNs. Like I use VPNs when I'm connected to an internet I don't trust and I want to be secure. Where everyone's like, "Why would you do that?" And it's like, "Well, I don't want my shit hacked."
Mm-hmm.
And that's fair. And not everybody has this knowledge behind them. Like they hear about this thing. Like we'll just use the darknet as like an example. Like jumping on there without these type of protections is probably way worse off. But a lot of people hear about the darknet, but they don't hear about the security things that they need. They're only catching 50% or 60% of the information, and they're missing that vital 40% that's in there.
It's the argument I have all the time. Everyone thinks the darknet is evil because it's only used for child pornography and drugs. Not true whatsoever.
Guns too. You forgot about the
and
guns.
Assassins.
Oh yeah, the assassins.
You can buy assassins.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can buy like 100 assassins for like 3 Bitcoin.
You hire it, man.
That's how it works.
For like 1 Bitcoin or something.
Yes.
I don't know.
All of this is accurate.
Yeah.
All of it is true. But no, like it's used for like dissidents and people who want to talk about the government without being watched. Like it has good to
for
it.
sure.
We've brought this up in the past where like within the drug, like medical drugs is society or area that people can't get the drugs that they've had their entire life.
Yeah.
This is a chance for them to be able to get these medical drugs to help them through situations that they're just for whatever reason the government's like, nope, we're not going to give you that anymore.
Some people are just buying their drugs straight from India because it's 10 times cheaper.
That too.
Same fucking drug.
Yeah.
Like look what happened with whatever his face is with the was it the AIDS one or it was the AIDS HIV pill where he just jacked it up for fucking no reason.
Oh yeah. You're
like
talking about Martin Shkreli.
Yeah, the guy that bought the Wu-Tang album. Bring it back to music for me. But he bought the Wu-Tang album for a ridiculous amount of money and he just jacked up a price of like an HIV pill that's vital for people with HIV to have. He just threw it up 600%. 600% per pill or something like that. It was like an insane amount. Like it's a ridiculous amount that he just did it because he felt like he wanted to do it. He wanted to make the money.
Wow.
So like he's using people's misfortune to be able to get the price on it. But now there's like situations like, okay, he has the patent on this, but you can get that shit from a different country a lot cheaper as long as you know the ways to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And that's another situation where it's a positive within the technology, right? As long as you know what it is.
It's the same thing with EpiPens. Those cost
EpiPens
shit all to manufacture.
It was like $1 or something to
They're
make
$100 each now. So I literally listened to yesterday after the 12-hour shift. I was like, you know what, I need to unwind, so I went across the street to look at records.
To look at EpiPens.
At EpiPens.
I need some EpiPens.
But the thing is that there was a presentation of some people that wrote some books on there, and they were doing like a seminar with a bunch of people, and that's what they were talking about. They were talking about children with allergies and EpiPens. And
it's a business.
It becomes a business. But like right now in Europe, there's some school systems that have what they call an emergency EpiPen kit in every single school. So if something happens, because that's usually where you're going to find they say statistically most allergies come out in school. Like you're going to find it at the school.
A lot of children, a lot of people together.
That's where you're going to find it.
Isn't it schools, gym, and hospitals?
Yeah, those are the most most common ones. Yeah. So what they did, and there's only about 23 schools out there, they have this emergency one that they keep stocked if something happens. So it's only been out for 3 months, and they've already saved 6 lives.
Well,
6 lives have been saved from this. I think that's already paid for itself just off of having that. But right now, Canada's saying we can't do this, and not all of them, but there is some schools that do it. But within the districts are saying, no, we can't do this. Part of the reason, $100 EpiPens. What's going to happen? Parents are going to be like, oh, I don't need to buy that EpiPen anymore. So I'm not going to buy it. The school's got it. So now the school has to eat that cost. And it's kind of sad that it's hitting that point too. But there's also a lot of school divisions that don't allow unprescribed medication to children. If they don't have it prescribed, they're not allowed to give it because they're now liable for it.
I got a question. Like, since we're on this topic, if a lot of the money that people are investing into nonprofit organizations, you know what I mean? Like for example, for that
health organization.
Yeah. So say if we're investing a ton of money into the research of these things, like an EpiPen, right? And then the EpiPen gets developed by a private manufacturer, a private entity, we'll say, okay? So now he owns, because he has found the recipe or the solution for it, now he's marking up what we have funded 100% to resell it back to us. But we funded the research for it to happen. What the fuck? How does that? What happens?
Where does ownership?
How does that work? Like, how does that
work?
I
can answer this because that is not publicly funded shit. That is the people who made that drug are pharmaceutical companies who did not get their funding. They got their funding from other people.
Yeah. Where did they get their funding from? You're telling me
other rich people. Like, this is not.
No.
The money you pay in taxes does not go to the pharmaceutical companies for them to make drugs.
No, but like if you're like you can do a walk for cancer, and then you can put cancer research, and then you can.
I highly
take that money and invest into research, and then sell the drug once there's going to be a cure for a cancer. All that millions and billions and millions of dollars into all this funding on finding the cure for cancer. Once they found the cure, it's not like all that extra funding money is going to go back into the public to give out these fucking...
It's because they're donations, right? You're donating something,
yeah,
so you
that's
get nothing from it.
It's
but now what I'm saying is the unjust thing is raking up the price now on this object that you have funded for the betterment of the community because you want to find an antivirus for the cancer cell, right? Like, now you're having to pay... 600% markup on the item that you've helped fund and research to cure someone that, you know what I mean?
The problem is the people who are raising this money, these corporations, are just that. They're corporations.
The thing that I was going to bring up, it's comic related, but like Marvel back in the day, when you make a comic, if you created a new character and you were under the job description of Marvel, so like you are currently working at Marvel and you worked within that 9 hours and you created this, you do not own that property. Marvel owns that property. Places. If you draw a still frame or a frame in a comic, a long time ago, it used to be that frame is now Marvel's property. You're not allowed to take it off of the premises. It has to stay there. And there was a point that all the artists grew and like, fuck you, this is ours. So after, I think it was 20 years, they reached deals like, okay, we're going to let you have it, but we still own it. Like, you're allowed to have these things that you drew, but you don't own shit. So, like, in a corporation sense, it becomes a money-making thing. In the sense that you're talking about, where it's like GoFundMe or Kickstarter or different things that where it becomes public thing. I get where Aaron's kind of coming from this, is that now that it's a public thing, who technically owns it? Well, the person that's making it.
Yeah.
So... I get the moral decision where you're coming from, but there's also an immoral decision that comes in there too. Like,
sure, totally. Yeah.
I think a good thing that is coming on the topic of technology and on medications like this, there was, I believe it was an EpiPen, but like the drug in the EpiPen is ephedrine. It's very common drug. You can buy it from like India or whatever, even from other places, relatively cheap. It's because it's made by EpiPen and it has this patented container.
Yeah.
There was a project I remember seeing where this guy made a open source, which means anyone can use it, anyone can modify it, 3D printed EpiPen. So basically all you needed was a sanitized needle and access to a 3D printer and then the drug itself. So this guy basically created a way fucking cheaper way to get the exact same thing.
Do we know the cost difference between the EpiPen versus the drug?
The drug is cheap as fuck. The EpiPen is super expensive because it's a piece of plastic and it's patented.
Yeah, it's about 100 in Canada. It's $100 per EpiPen.
Yeah, it's probably $95 for that pen.
Probably. There used to be there's a TED Talk, and I'm gonna find out the name of this TED Talk for next time. But there was a kid who wanted to. It was when the EpiPens first skyrocketed in price. This kid did a TED Talk and found the exact same, solution. I forget what, like, ephedrine. And he found a way to produce this and sell it for something like 67 cents or something.
Yes.
Like, it was like a dirt cheap way. And he proposed it at this TED Talk that, like, we could be paying this amount of money for the exact same result, but we've, again, corporations or whatever the case is, has marketed it up to the point of...
Yeah, I was just about to say, a lot of the times when this type of things happen, when something comes up cheaper, the best thing for the corporation to do is buy up said patent to do that and just do nothing with it. Look at the electric car. That's
throw
exactly... They've had them
Yeah.
forever, and they buy it every time it comes up. They buy up the patent, and they don't release it.
Yeah.
What I'm getting to with this open source thing is, since it's open source, there is no patent. Everybody owns the patent. You could make it, I could make it, any corporation could make it. Now, where this... I'm sorry to fucking rip on socialism again, but I'm gonna have to.
No, you're not.
Because
You're not sorry at all.
People have not learned from history. Capitalism can be good because it makes a free market. In a free market, we can have things like this $100 EpiPen that, sure, that's bad, but we can also have this $5 EpiPen.
Yeah.
And because it's a free market, people are going to buy the $5 pen, which is eventually going to take the $100 pen and put it out of business.
Does the free market change the quality of said, or do they still have the same regulations that they have to follow?
Again, it's up to the market. If someone makes a crappy one and someone makes a good one, and people are okay with paying the extra money to be sure that they're not going to fucking die, then the market will win the market, and people will buy that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's still up to the market. There's shitty products that are popular all the
But
time.
it gives the people the freedom
iPhones.
of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a free market.
Yeah, well,
I'm okay with iPhones. You have the right to buy them. You should know it's inferior.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, like, I mean, let's try and wrap the conversation up, because I don't think we're going to come to a definitive conclusion on what we think, but I do believe...
technology is good, that's the end.
I honestly feel, like, after having this conversation, I was more on the side of, like, yes, it's a good thing, but I feel like I'm leaning a little bit more that it just has as many, if not a few more, disadvantages within there too. Like, yes, there's great advantages in there, but sometimes, like, every step forward, you're going to get a step backwards, maybe even 2 step backwards, but you're still getting a step forward each time.
I think it's something we need. I think doing from the bar top experiment, we'll say, you know, it's something we need, but it's also something that, if abused or used too much of, you know, use it as a resource, use it when we need to use it. It's great. We've talked about all the pros involved with it. At the same time, though, like, it's like, take a night where you're putting your phone down at your dinner party. Take a night where you're going to sit at the bar top and you're going to meet someone new and engage in a conversation you've never had before. You're going to meet your bartender. You're going to have conversations that will lead to new ideas and inspiration in life, and you're going to get a lot more benefit from that than you are on a Facebook post. So, at the end of the day, my consensus of it all is take it in moderation. Technology is a good thing. We've talked about this on this show before. Just make sure you're staying present with yourself, and you're going to find the dividends at the end of the day. If you're choosing to, you know, put aside the phone maybe for a night, or you're choosing to put it down in times that you don't absolutely need it, use it as medicated.
Absolutely. So, how about yourself?
Moderation.
Yeah.
Moderation is good. Everything is good in moderation. I think the technology can be great, but we need to step back and look at it from a bigger picture, especially with things like AI, and be like, sure, it'll be easy if this does this, but what are the consequences? And that's something we're not taking into consideration, and I think we really should be.
Awesome.
I think we should probably have an episode in the future talking strictly about AI, its benefits versus its down, like benefits versus like the problems that could come with it. So I think that's probably a good thing for us to kind of like sit down and like discuss.
Yeah, we can try and get a hold of Elon Musk.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll get him.
Yeah, totally.
We're saying it here. This is happening. This is going to happen. I'm pretty sure there was some sort of movie about a dream in a field. If you build it, they'll come or some shit. He's going to do it. It's going to happen. Yeah. We'll see in a couple. Well, if you didn't know, this is Why the Fuck Not. We're 3 friends sit around one table and bring one topic of discussion for your listening pleasures. We're not going to rifle off things anymore. You know where you can find us. We're on Facebook. We have every single one of our links on there. Definitely the one that we're going to shout out the most is because we're just about to hit 1,000 views here. We're pretty happy about that. But you can find us at WTFN/.podbean.com. Find us on there. It's the best place to find us. And of course, you can always contact us through Facebook. So either way, I'm Ed.
I'm Dwight.
I'm Aaron.
Keep that technology in check.